Taraji, I see you. You did your thing in this movie. However, this studio and this movie does not deserve you. Hey everyone, it's Sharona from Pay Your Weight, and today I'm going to be reviewing Proud Mary, which is directed by Babak Nahifi, and I'm sure I said his name wrong, but I'm sorry, who is responsible for also directing London Has Fallen, and it stars Taraji P. Henson as Mary, who is a hit woman who works for an organized crime family led by a man named Benny, which is played by Danny Glover, and she runs into a young boy who is mixed in with the wrong type of people, and she basically decides to help save him out of this downward spiral that he's been in. And in the midst of trying to help this kid out, she ends up starting a war between two big crime families. And in the midst of it, she's trying to make sure that she's protecting the son and trying to kind of make sure that this doesn't fall back on her. And from then on, you think you're going to be watching a fast-paced action movie starring a beautiful African-American woman. And that is not what this movie is about. So let's get into it. What I liked about this movie, Taraji did her thing. Taraji does a very good job at saving this movie. She actually does so well in this movie that it takes it from being a complete trash movie to it's a decent movie, okay? It's a decent movie. Taraji basically saves this film, and the studio and the director ought to be ashamed of themselves. And this will get into my issues with this film. First of all, unless you've been living under the rock, there's already been criticism for the poor marketing that there was for this film. There were no advanced screenings. There were no access for critics to go screen this movie. Even when I tried to just go find a Thursday movie showing for this movie to go spend my money to support it, keep in mind, I'm in Atlanta, one of the biggest movie markets, especially for African-American movies. There was not a screening to be found. I had to wait until today to actually go see the movie, which I don't understand. And typically when that happens, it's a really, really garbage movie, but this movie wasn't even that bad, and it had the potential to be a very good movie if the studio and the director would have cared to make it that way. And my issues that come into play, especially with the outside of what the little marketing they did with this film, was it was supposed to be an action movie, and we got action, just not a lot of action. Now, there's scenes with Taraji and she has gun scenes. There's no real hand-on-hand combat. There's a lot of shooting. And when she's doing that, the movie is engaging to watch. But instead of them focusing on her being this badass hit woman, she turns into this maternal character trying to take care of this young boy. And it's just guys, I get that ties in with the story, but you did not have to focus that much time on their relationship. And also too, then they try to throw in Danny Glover's character, Benny, who is this big crime boss, and I just didn't believe his character. I also, I kind of would have preferred to see an Isaiah Washington. I just didn't feel like Danny Glover fully connected with who his character was supposed to be. And for me, he just didn't come off that much as a big bad villain to me. I wasn't convinced watching the movie. And then on top of that, they try to give Taraji's character this kind of love backstory with Billy Brown, who you know from How to Get Away with Murder, and they have this this back history, and it's kind of just, it's not believable to me, because it's kind of just okay, you're a hit woman. I expect you to be more sexually liberated, taking control of your sexuality, being who you want to be with, and instead you're tied into this old drama of this ex-lover, and then you don't really see them interact, so it's just not believable already. If you just take looks-wise, yeah, I can see it, but in the movie, they did nothing to try to help us understand how they have this history or this past. Now, it's just, for me, it's just bad marketing. It's a total fail on the studio. This is by no fault Taraji's. I think she did great with what was given to her. She definitely saved this movie. She carried the entire movie on her back, and I appreciate her for that, and I want to give her a shout out. And that's why I would still tell you to pay to go support this movie. It's not a bad movie. It's a decent film. I think it's more than what many were expecting, since no one wanted to screen it ahead of time. I was just this movie it's not even that bad. It really isn't. And it's just we still have to support, because unfortunately, if this movie doesn't do well, And I'm hoping that I'm wrong, but I do not think it's going to do well due to the lack of marketing from the studio. It will fall into the same narrative that movies that are outside of a slavery movie, or if it's a, anything different like an action movie, which we're not used to, which is why the hype for Black Panther is so big. People are going to say that, hey, we're not going to do that. We tried it with Proud Mary. We're not going to cast another Black woman in this big action film because it's not going to make money. So that's why I feel like you should still support it, because I feel like, I don't know why the studio is trying to sabotage their own film. I don't understand it. I don't know why the director thought this final cut was good enough to give to audiences, or why they felt like they did it enough justice to even call it an action film. But that's just my thoughts on the movie. I just want to make sure that I properly give you guys the real behind, like, what happened with it. And if you see mixed reviews, which I'm sure there are going to be mixed reviews, I just don't want this to keep supporting a narrative that really just isn't true. If you give African American movies justice and do it the right way, you will see the return in the box office and people will go out to see it. But you can't get that unless you make a good movie, and if you screen it ahead of time to give it a good word of mouth and buzz to get people to fill the seats in the theater. So as always, my name is Sharona from Pay Your Weight. If you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and I will see you soon.